Bom dia, boa noite,
That's as good as it
a
gets, really. So I
semana
think what we're going to
atrás
do is switch
eu.
to English because otherwise it's going to be too painful for you guys.
Eu voltou. So I'm gonna try to make this like super quick, but last week I was in Porto with my dad, and it was great crack. The weather was pretty much like Northern Ireland, but just a little bit warmer. It was still raining quite a bit. But in terms of language learning, I've come on so far. So like I'm sitting at 450 hours or something around there of listening. I'm sitting at about 700,000 words of well, actually a good bit more than that um, uh, of um, of reading. And when I went to Portugal, the main thing was I could read pretty much everything. Pretty much everything that you come across in everyday life, I could read. In terms of listening, I think I could listen to most of everything. Like, in terms of anything that anyone said to me in the shops in Portuguese, I had no problems with it all. It just felt natural. It felt fine. It was funny even just to read things in museums and stuff and see, oh, I would have translated it like that because you could just see the stuff that was just literally put into Google Translate. Um, and the other part of it, of course, is the speaking, which Porto is not necessarily the best for because if you speak to someone in Portuguese, they will reply to you most of the time in perfect English. Um, but I feel like I had a couple of conversations. I had one where I cheated in the taxi, where I used Google Translate because I wanted to talk about certain things. But I also had like a conversation, very brief conversations with some of the shops, the very few that didn't speak great English. I had no problem. I also had an old man in a pub who had what felt to me like quite an extended conversation because he decided he was going to talk to these strange people, and he questioned me about why I was learning Portuguese. He encouraged me to buy food from his friends in the shop, and I spoke back to him in really broken Portuguese. Now, the Portuguese was not good by any level or any description, but it was there. I didn't have to look up anything. I was able to talk to someone, and whenever he left, he said, "Thank you," with great difficulty because that's the only English that he knew. So here, I think this is what winning looks like. I think this is what success looks like in Portuguese. Because even though my level of speaking is pretty low, I have a very high level now. I feel it's high in both listening and reading, and the speaking is going to come. Um, and I think basically I'm comfortable now going forward that I'm going to continue what I'm doing. Maybe not as intensely on the listening as I was leading up to the holiday, but I'm going to start doing things like reading some of the books that I got when I was in Portugal. I got two books that were comic books. I'm about 100 pages into this, and I'm going to also read a book which I got on the Ukraine war, sorry, the history of Ukraine, and it's quite good, but it's more hard going because it's not a picture book. But I'm enjoying it all. So I think that end of 2023, Portuguese is going really well, and I think my success in Portuguese will be either finished between 6 months and 5 years, depending on how well I want to speak Portuguese. But at the approximate.